Core balance and mobility, advanced level workout number 2. As a disclaimer, I don't recommend that you do some of these movements if you are not able to complete the exercises with the prescribed number of repetitions with proper posture. And I'll talk about that in the demonstrations to follow, but just as a disclaimer, I would really recommend that you scale this down if you can't keep your body mechanics on these. With that said, let's begin. Let's begin with some wide stance hip hinges. Take a stance that's about double hip width, and then I'm going to just bend at the waist while keeping a neutral spine, and I'm going to feel the stretch in the back of my legs as well as the inner thighs. Seeing from the side profile how the hips go back, the torso angle shifts forward, and I'll do 8 repetitions of it about this tempo, down and then up. Next, I've got some overhead rotations. So I'm just going to stand with my feet pretty close together, flexing through my legs, abdominals braced, and then I'm going to rotate my arms until they come overhead. I'll just do 8 sweeps of it. Practice trying to keep your shoulder blades retracted the whole time during this motion. Again, 8 repetitions, standard number of reps. Great. Side splits stretch. Okay, so I'm going to open up again into the wide stance, but I'm going to open it up as wide as I can. I can place the hands down, and then, if you can do a full split, that's great. Just go as far as you can. If you can't go quite this far, you can maybe place an object right here to prop your hands up, and just try to open that up as far as you can. It shouldn't be like feel like you're pulling your muscle. You shouldn't be going down that far, but we're going to try to open this up and increase your range of motion there. 15-second hold for that one. Next one, I'll do some wide pulls. So for this one, I'm just going to stand tall, brace my abdominals again, and then I'm going to have my shoulders rotate until my arms come directly overhead. So squeezing the shoulder blades together, and you'll end up directly overhead. Feel it burn a little bit in the upper back. Scapular retraction, squeezing the shoulder blades together at the top of the movement. 8 reps. And then we're going to do some front splits. So here I'm just going to try to open up in front here and go as wide as I can. And certainly some people can go even further than I can here. Your hamstring and hip flexor mobility will really be challenged. And you can see I have to put my hands down in front. And again here you can have some sort of block, yoga block or something to prop your hands up if you can't quite go as far as I'm going. That'll help you work your way down. Standing arm mechanics are next, so I'm just going to do like a running arm mechanics, and what I'm looking for at the extreme position, I'm just going to bring my fist up in front to chin level while driving my elbow back as far as I can with my back arm, and then I'm just going to switch, 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 really driving that elbow back. It's a chest stretch as well as an actual body mechanic training your body mechanics for running. Good. And you do about 8 each side for that one. And then standing chops are next. So I'm just going to stand with my feet together. I'm going to brace my abdominals, and now I want to keep my hips and shoulders square as I start reaching my arms up to one side, and then I'm going to just drive it down. Now at the next level, I can stand my feet in a split stance. I'll start with my weight shifted over to one side with my arms overhead to that side, and then from there, without turning the hips or shoulders, I'm just going to step into it, take my weight with one side while extending the other side, and sweeping the arms down behind me. And then I'll drive up and back down. I'll look to do, again, 8 repetitions each side. Switching to the other side, get both. You can watch from the side profile where I end up, this sort of angle with my torso. Torso coming forward. So again, this is like the hip hinge. Great. Moving on, for the next few, you might want to be close to a wall. The first one, I'm going to do a foot strength towel exercise. 2 different exercises in one. Okay, so for this one, I'm going to plant my heel down on my towel. And if you have a yoga mat, you can do the same thing. You might not get the same effect quite, but it will work. So I'm going to place my heel down on the towel. I'm going to have my feet open. Then I'm going to place the ball of my foot down, and then I'm going to dig my toes into the mat. From there, I'm going to flex the ball of my foot, or the arch of my foot. I'm basically going to have, I want the ball of my foot to come closer to my heel. So I'm going to curl that under. Okay? So I'm going to grab it, curl it under, and if I didn't have shoes on, I would actually be able to grab the towel and scrunch it up. And that's exactly what I'm trying to do. Feel like you're flexing the bottom of your foot. So I'll do 8 of those each side. Really open the toes as much as you can and then close them down as hard as you can. This is just a little movement that I think is very important, especially if you're a runner, if you're doing a lot of impact on your feet. So the other one is, again, I'm going to plant my heel. I'm going to rotate at the hip so my foot goes out to the side. Same idea with the foot open to start. Place the ball of the foot and then grab with the toes. And then from there, I'm going to rotate the foot. You can see this when I actually grab the towel and move the towel. Then I'll pick the foot up and I'll place it back down and I'll pull to the other side. And I'll repeat. I can do about 4 each side. Trying to grab onto the ground and pull as much as I can. Okay, other foot. Great. Those are your foot exercises. Next, I'm going to do some low squats with an overhead reach. Okay, so I'm gonna hold a low squat, and then so I'll go down and heels down, sit the hips back, make sure that the knees are tracking wide over the feet, and now from here, I'm going to start with my arms on my shoulders, and then I'm going to try to press my arms directly overhead. This is a very challenging exercise for your upper back. And if you're tight in the squat, it's going to be really hard for you to keep your heels down when you're doing this exercise. But this is really the ultimate test of squatting ability and overhead flexibility. And the program actually calls for 2 different types. So you can do it that way, where you're starting from the shoulder and reaching up. You can probably do 5 of those. And then you can also do 5 where we're going back to that Y pull. So you're basically doing a Y pull, but now while holding the bottom of your squat position. Next, a wall pec stretch. So I can make a fist and place the fist lower than my shoulders on the wall. Then I'll turn my body away from that outstretched arm, and I'll feel this stretch in my chest. I can do 15 seconds each side on this one. You can't see from this angle, but my elbow is straight. Lock the elbow. Great. Moving on to some leg swings. Hold on to the wall for balance as needed on this one. I want you to get your full range of motion while using assistance for your balance before trying to do this without balance. But our goal is to do full range of motion leg swings without the wall. So I'll demo it this way. And what I'm looking for is, yeah, high kick in front and full kick behind, while keeping your torso angle upright and not arching and rounding the back. You get a pretty quick kick here. It'll challenge the strength and the balance of your down leg and the mobility of your up leg. Get both sides. 8 repetitions each. You can see that I'm working my arms in opposition of my legs, which really helps my balance. And then you're also going to do leg swings across your body. So for this one, I'll swing it out to the side and then across my body. Same thing, I'm not turning my shoulders, I'm just challenging my hip mobility. See if I can open and close the hip. Good, 8 each. Dynamic standing hip circles are next. This is a really challenging coordination exercise here where you're going to try to do, so I'll first demo what am I talking about with the hip circle. A slight forward lean, pitch the hips back a little bit, and then I'm going to kick back, and then I'm going to circle around. But now I'm going to do kind of a jump into the circle, okay? So this might take some practice, but if you can coordinate it, it's a pretty cool movement. So I'll go. So you can see I kind of do I load up, and then I jump as I'm rotating my leg from behind to sweep around back and front. Okay, let's try it with the other leg. Good. Standing leg extended hamstring stretch. So I'm going to balance on one leg and do a kick one leg out, and I'm going to be not only working the balance of the down leg, but the flexibility of my hamstring on the up leg. So I'll extend this leg out, I'll point the toes, I can grab underneath my calves or behind my knees, and then just try to hold this position for 15 seconds. Looking from the side profile, I don't want to be rounding my back too much. Upright torso position as I hold that stretch. Be strong through the down leg. Flex it. Great. Wall handstands are next, okay? So for this one, you're going to want to make sure that you have a wall, that you have control of this motion, and you're able to kick around into a wall-assisted handstand without busting through your wall. So if you have sheetrock, just be careful, like I do here. Better if you even have like a brick surface. But if you can control it, then great. Now I'm going to place my hands down slightly wider than my shoulders, and the main consideration here is just I need to be able to press strong through my arms the whole time. Never am I going to let my arms collapse. Okay, stay strong through your arms, and then if you're it might take some getting used to being able to kick around, but keep practicing it. Try to get in position, and it's really, I know how it feels. It's kind of nerve-wracking at first because you feel like you're going to fall over. But you just trust yourself. If you kick around aggressively and stay strong through your shoulders, your heels are going to come in contact with the wall, and it's going to be no problem. Okay? And I'm going to place my palms about a foot away from the wall. Good. And then once I'm in position, I'm just going to hold it strong. I'm going to flex through the elbows and the shoulders, bracing the abdominals. Only the heels will be in contact with the wall. And I'll just flex my legs as hard as I can while holding that position. 15 seconds. And then the next one will be some running butt kicks. I'm just going to do 15 seconds of butt kickers in place. I'm working my arm mechanics. You can see that my knee is pointing forward a little bit, but it's not coming forward and back. It's just the bending and extending of the knee to kick the heel up to the butt. Good. Next we'll go to some standing bent over tees. So I'm standing with the feet together, hinging the hip so that there's a 45-degree angle at the torso. Shoulder blades are relaxed to start. And then I'm going to squeeze the shoulder blades and bring my arm out into this T shape here. And then I'll just do 8 repetitions. Squeeze for a moment at the top. Brace your abdominals. 8 reps. Scissor feet agility is next. You're just going to do 8 repetitions where you're just going to do a jump with a scissoring action of your feet. Okay? So I'll start here and I'll just go 1, 2, 3. Work the arms. 5, 6, 7, 8. Yep. Get-ups are next. So basically here I'm just going to go down to the mat, have my shoulders and my hips and my heel down at the bottom, and then I'll stand back up tall. There's a few different ways you can do this. Now I can just kind of squat down, roll, extend, and then I can maybe crunch back up like this. That's one way to do it. Another way to do it is to break it up. Backstep lunge, drop the knee down, place the hand out to the side, get the bent knee leg around in front, and then come back down from there. And then on the way back, I can roll to my elbow, then get onto my palm, then press myself up into this lunge position and stand up from there. And anywhere in between. But just to get your reps, and you want to make sure that the front knee angle is appropriate. So I don't want to try to stand up with this knee caving in like this. I need to make sure that my knee is tracking appropriately. I'm going to work that lunge position. I'm essentially doing a abdominal crunch and I'm doing a press with my arm. So it's a pretty dynamic movement. I'm doing a lot of things all at once. I'm going to do 8 repetitions. This will get your heart rate up a little bit. However you want to do it, you can mix it up. Whatever feels the most natural for you. Eight reps. Good. Now we'll go right into some backstep lunges, so we're staying on this theme. Yeah, for this one I'm going to do, well, I'll do 8 on my right leg, and then 8 with my left leg. So here I'm going to step back, place the ball of the foot of the back foot down, keeping the front heel down the whole set. Now once I'm in position here, I'll drop the knee down, and then I can stand up straight out of it and repeat the exercise. Watch the angle of my torso here. It comes forward a little bit. Because what I want to do, I certainly don't want to go like this. I got to stay back here. And see this shifting back? What it does is it opens up my hamstring of the back leg, or of the front leg. And that way I'm using my glutes and my hamstrings, not just my quad. Coming from this leg. Yeah, I want to drive from here, driving from the glutes. Again, watch the knee angle. Don't let it collapse in. It can go pretty quick once I have the motion down. 8 each side. Backward rolls are next. So this one you may need a little extra space. Just make sure you're not going to knock anything over when you're doing this. And for this one, the main consideration is this is where we're going to be really tucking. When you come around, tuck the head, basically trying to make a really convex surface with your torso so that you come around really nicely and you don't slap your hips around when you land. And then you want to just try to be as graceful as possible and try to roll right back to a standing position. And once you get around, get the hands down and that'll help you press your body around. You may want to take your time on this so you don't get dizzy. You can get some momentum into it. Makes it even easier. Yeah, tuck the head so you don't whack your head. And that one, I think I was a little to the side. Try to come directly over and around. Good. Speed skaters with a stick landing, okay? So this is like a speed skater jump. And I want to make sure that I'm on a surface where I'm going to be able to jump and land and stick and not slide out, okay? So a speed skater jump is where, okay, I'm going to jump this way. So it's going to be my trailing leg or my outside leg that I'm going to jump from, and I'm going to land on the other leg. So I have one leg back, and so if my left leg is down, my right arm is going to kind of be touching that knee, and the left arm will be reaching back because I'm going to get momentum from that arm as I come around. So I'll jump and try to stick the landing. Jump, stick the landing. You don't have to go too far, as far as you want. It's mostly about the balance. And you can see I'm extending, and then I'm landing right back into a bent position. And soft landing indoors. Great. Lateral two-step agility running. Okay, so this one I'm going to do, well, it's actually a three-step movement. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go reach, 2, 3, reach, 2, 3, reach, 2, 3, reach, 2, 3. Keep your hips low a little bit so you can efficiently change directions. And I'll do 8 of these each side. Working the arms too, in opposition of your legs. C-skips. C-skip is where I'm going to start with the knee in front and then kick it back behind me, okay? And just like the other one, it's going to be dynamic. So I'm going to get a little jump as I'm doing the C-skip. I would recommend first just get the pattern down so the knee is up, and then I'm opening up at the hips and kicking back around. But if you can make it a little dynamic, and you can see I'm doing a jump to get the leg around in rotation back to the extension, drive it back through, and then I repeat. Both sides. Open that hip up. Good. And then a karaoke run. So it's similar to that 2-step or that 3-step, except for this time I'm going to cross my leg in front. So I'm going to cross 2, 3, cross 2, 3, cross 2, 3, cross 2, 3. Change of direction, dynamic balance. I think the program actually says 5 each side. I did a couple extra, but that's okay. All right, good. Now we're down on the mat. First one, I'm going to do some mountain climbers. Okay, so for this one, we really want to make sure on the mountain climber that your front foot is all the way up by your palms, outside of your palms, and the other leg is going to be fully outstretched. Okay. And then I'm just going to do 15 seconds of mountain climbers. I can do it one of 2 ways. I can do the stepping version where I step back and then together. But if you're at this advanced level, try to do the dynamic version where I'm going to do a jump switch and get the full range of motion. Good. Arch rocks are next. I'm going to do 8 repetitions here. Oh, excuse me. No, this is going to be an arch hold with a flutter kick and an arm pump. So, actually, arch hold is from the belly down, arms down by your side, palms down, and then I'm going to squeeze the butt to lift the knees, squeeze the shoulder blades to lift the hips, and lift the arms. And then the arms are going to be making this pumping motion from the shoulders, while the legs are doing a flutter kick. So see if you can coordinate this, and do it for 15 seconds while keeping your arch. Okay, good. Then you're going to do a hollow hold with a flutter kick and arm pumps. So just the opposite, crunch up, extend the knees, pumping the arms, and flutter kicking the legs. 15 seconds. Good. Kneeling T-spine rotation, 5 each on this one. One palm down, the other palm is up, thumb up, out to the side. And then from here, I'm going to raise the thumb, raise the arm, have the eyes following the arm, and then relax back down. 5. Thoracic spine mobility. Good. Both sides. I'm going pretty quickly through this, but just make sure that you're really working to open up. Slow open up, and you can do a quick release. Good. Balance on hip V holds. I'll be right on my hip, and then I'm going to extend my legs. And now I don't want to be rounded too much. I want to try to be extended through my spine. And then I'll just hold this position as tight as I can for 15 seconds. Really getting your lower abdominals here. Push up to side plank to bridge. Okay, this one's tricky. I'm going to start I can start in a side plank here, hold this position for a moment, and then I'm going to come down around into a bridge, to a side plank, to a push-up. Then I can go back around. And I want to do 5 each. I'll do one more here. The bridge is probably the most difficult of the positions. That transition to the bridge is tough. So we'll work on it. Side plank, adductor lifts. So I'm going to be holding a side plank, and I'm just going to keep my top foot down while the bottom leg is lifting up and down. And now I can do it both ways, with my bottom leg in front and with my bottom leg behind. I would do equal parts. So I'll raise up and I'll squeeze. Try to keep those hips high. I'll do 4 forward and 4 behind. Good. You're not going to go very high with it. It's not a big range of motion, but it really works your inner thighs. Your angle of your body will change a little bit depending on where your leg is, which leg is in front. Plank, straight leg, foot slides. So for this one, you kind of want your feet to be able to slide. It just so happens that with the socks and this towel, I think I can do this exercise. Alternatively, I can put my feet on a hardwood floor or something, or any slidey surface. So what I'm going to do is, I'll just do 8 repetitions of this, where, I'm going to get into this front plank position, and then I'm going to push so my elbows come up to about eye level, and then I'm going to slide back so that my elbows are underneath my chest. And you can see that I have my toes flexed, and then I have my toes pointed. And this really works my abdominals. Okay, good. Lying, elbows down, row squeezes. So I'm going to lie on my back. I can just extend my body out. I'm going to pretend that I'm doing a resisted row motion. Well, I will be doing a resisted row, because once I get to here and place the elbows down, and note of the angle here, so I'm not flared out, I'm not tight to my side, I'm right in the middle. And then what I'm going to try to do is I'm going to flex my whole body tight and try to get a little bit of a lift of my shoulder off the mat. Actually, my whole torso will come off the mat. Hold for a moment at the top end of the motion, squeezing the shoulder blades together to lift. Good. 8 of those. Push-up position, arm reaches. Yeah, just hold a push-up position, and then I'm just going to reach one arm out. But try to keep your shoulders and hips level. Try not to rock. And to start, you can have your feet wider, but the narrower your feet are, the more difficult this exercise will be. And try to get a full reach out. I can switch arms each repetition. Staying square, pressing strong through the elbow. This tempo is fine. They can be pretty quick, but control at each end of the motion is what you want. Leg extended Russian reach. So I'm going to be balancing on my hips again, and I'm going to extend the knees, point the toes. And then from here, all I'm going to do is, while keeping my shoulders square, I'm going to reach my arms to one side and reach to the other. So I'll feel this stretch across my deltoid muscle when I'm doing this exercise. And it works my abdominals quite a bit, not only to hold this position, but also to be able to reach my arm across while doing so. This tempo is good. Again, control at all parts of the motion. And 8 reaches each side. Next, we'll do some rolling side to side while extended. So I'm going to extend my body here, and I can have my arms reaching overhead. And then what I'm going to basically do here is I'm going to roll from an arch position to a hollow position. So I'll start in this hollow position, and then I'll roll over to an arch position. And then I can just roll back and forth. I'll do 8 repetitions at each position. Try not to rely on your hands to roll. Good. That's a tremendous core exercise. Okay, next I'll do some plank frog kicks. You can do this one from the elbows, maybe better yet from your palms, and then you'll hold this position and then just bring your leg out to the side. Now I'm not gonna get crunched up to one side. I'm gonna keep it square while I do this exercise. And then just lift that knee as high as you can. Squeeze those abs down in order to stay square. Might be getting a little fatigued now. Here's where you're going to have to dig. You're going to have to stay disciplined with your body mechanics. If you're struggling here, then we got to scale it down. Do less repetitions, but don't lose your form. Don't fight through bad form. Okay, lying chair position hip rotations. We're going to slow it down a little bit now. Head back, hips down, knees are not together, but they're going to be in line. And I'm just going to roll from side to side. Your shoulders probably will come off the mat a little bit as you go from side to side. And certainly your hips are going to be rocking side to side. About 15 seconds of that, or 8 each. Next will be some one-leg hip bridges. So I'll have one heel down with that knee bent, and the other knee I can tuck in tight to my side. Let my head relax, and then I'll press through the heel to lift the hip up. Careful on this one, ease into it. I don't want you to cramp your hamstring, which can happen on this if you go too far too soon. Get control on both ends of the motion. You're not going to go super high with this, but it's not a big range of motion, but you definitely will feel the high hamstring and the glutes. You'll feel your quads too, but I really want you to feel it in the back of your leg. Bracing in the abdominals as well. Pike with leg lift to push up. Okay? So I'm going to start with a pike. I'm going to lift the leg up, and then I'm going to set it down, and then from there I'll rotate into a push-up position, so my hips will come flat, and then I'll do a push-up, full push-up. I'll come back up into the pike, I'll lift the leg, set the leg down, rotate over, get the push-up. Now with your push-up, the body mechanics are really important. So I just want you to go to a depth of your push-up where you can keep your shoulders from shrugging and rounding. And do try to go all the way down. So that you want your chest and your hips to keep the relationship. Once you get to here, the shoulders and the hips will stay together. You don't want the hips lagging. I'll do one more here. Good. Side lying arm circle on ground. Lie on your side, tuck the knees. Let your head relax on your bottom arm. Then I'm going to stick my fingertips on the mat, and I'm basically going to draw a big circle around the outside of my body, down back to around my hips, and then circle back through. Notice that my shoulders and hips come off the ground a little bit once I get to this overhead position, and then my hands are going to flip. They're going to do a turn once I get around to my hips. I can take it slow, or I can speed it up. Get both sides. This one you can just do 5 reps each arm, and it's a really good mobility exercise for your shoulders, for your scapula, and for your thoracic spine. Just 5 will do it on this one. Good. Lying scissors are next. I'll lie down, I'll extend one leg out, while the other one's going to be coming up overhead. I can grasp behind my leg when my leg is up. And then I'll switch. Hamstring stretch, dynamic for the back of the leg. Works your abs and hip flexors a little bit too, strength-wise. Good, that was a pretty quick tempo. You could slow it down too if you wanted. Okay, now let's do a back roll to a V6. So we already did some back rolls today, so it's the same concept where when you're at that part of the movement, you're going to try to be really tucked. And you're going to try to get your feet down. Ultimately, you want your feet to touch down on the ground behind you. You may need to work on it a little bit, ease your way into it. But it's a pretty good stretch. And then we'll come around into a V-sit. Let me show you. Come to there, and then try to stay tucked as you go then into a V-sit. You can push with your hands to assist you back into that position. For this one, I can just do 5 repetitions each. Good. Child's pose is next. Yeah. Just extend your arms out straight. Sit your heels back to your hips back to your heels. Breathe. Inhale all the way, exhale all the way. And feel the stretch underneath your arms. 15 seconds. Side lying quad stretch. So check this out. I'm going to lie on my side. I'm going to take the top leg. I want to grab above the ankle, and then I'm going to have it rotate back. I'm actively going to flex the back of my leg in order to stretch the front of my leg. Notice that my knee is still in a straight line relative to my hip. I don't want it to be up or down. I want it to be in line. And also it helps to flex your foot, flex your toes. Not pointing, but flexing. I'll get both sides. I want to feel this one high in the hamstrings. I don't want to feel it pulling on my knee too much. If it's pulling on your knee, then we need to scale it down and work on your mobility before we try that one. Seated crossed leg behind the back stretch. So I'll cross my legs. I'll get into an upright torso position, and then I'll have one arm come from up top, the other arm coming from down low, and then I'll try to touch. Get as close as you can. I am not a model for mobility in this way, but the goal is to try to increase your mobility. Now we'll switch sides, also switch your feet. Tuck in nice and tight. And get the other side. 15 seconds each side. Good. Last stretch, seated crossed leg behind the back stretch. So I'm going to be seated with my legs crossed, also known as a pretzel stretch here, okay? So I have the front leg is crossed in front, the back leg is crossed behind. See it from this angle. And I'm trying to get myself into an upright torso position. And then I can switch sides after 15 seconds. Feel the stretch on really on the inner thigh here. Groin area. And then I'll release. Okay, the last thing I want to do for today is do a little bit of a lower leg massage. Okay, so this is something that we can do without any equipment at all. I think it's very important for us to, we worked really hard. We did some agility and dynamic balance exercises. So our lower legs, we're really working hard. Let's now give them some love. So I'm basically just squishing all the meaty parts of my lower leg. I'll go right in the middle here, so I'm grabbing right, so I feel the bone, and then I want to go below the bone, and I'll squeeze right in there. That's an area that gets pretty tender. Okay, then I can go up right underneath the knee, behind the knee, right in the bulbous part of the calf gets tender, and then definitely my shin gets tight. So let's try to knead that out. We're generating blood flow to the area. We're helping our lymphatic system out to flush out the waste products that have accumulated at our extremities. And I can't say enough about how beneficial it is. And now if you can get a proper massage, have your partner give you a massage, that's even better. But you can help yourself out quite a bit with that. All right, that will conclude our workout today. Great job. I hope you had a good time. Let me know how it went for you. Leave me a message, and because your feedback's really important for development of these programs. Thanks for watching.